I'm Andy with NETV in Brussels with Andrey Klimov, the Deputy Chairman of the Duma in Russia and of the Parliamentary Cooperation Committee. Can you please tell us what your role is here and what you've seen and some of your feelings about the findings?
Well, first of all, this is for the first time in the history of our cooperation that we are visitors to the European Parliament at that day, at the election day, and we had an opportunity to visit some stations where people from this country vote in favor or against some party lists. So it is an interesting experience, of course, and before that, on Friday, we had a seminar here in this building together with some authorities from Commission and from the European Parliament, and we could discuss a lot of things because we are not ready to accept some of the rules of these elections, of course.
Like, which ones, for example?
Well, for example, we're speaking about equal rights, of course, yes? As one of the cornerstone of this democracy. And at the same time, we have different rules, let's say in the United Kingdom, in France, in Greece, in the Netherlands, different rules. And according to these different rules, at the end, we have members of this parliament. And I don't want to compare all these rules, but it is very easy to see these differences in financial supply, in the ages of candidates, in the ages of people who have right to vote, etc., many things where these differences still exist. But we are speaking about one parliament and equal rights of the members of this parliament. I couldn't imagine that in my country we are a federation. Russia is a federation.
Yes.
We can have the system when we elected the parliament of the Russian Federation based on different laws in each of the constituent entities, which more or less the same like in the European Union.
Well, you have your critics here in the European Parliament as well. They feel that that the Duma has less authority than do they here.
Well, you know, it's depending upon the point of view. We can have a lot of discussions around that. But if we are speaking about one of the branch of the power, and Parliament is one of the branches of the power, it seems to me that the basement of this branch must be very clear and very strong. And then, look, we have now two ruling laws, if you can say so, about the Nice Treaty and the Lisbon Treaty.
Yes.
And these elections, they're just in between. And I couldn't imagine that in my country we have elections between two constitutions or two drafts of constitutions. We just now, and before that, and I hope in future, we know for sure that we have to have only 450 members of my parliament. We know how many seats we can have in this parliament in any cases. And in this situation, we do not know what's happened then, after these elections, how many members of this parliament will be. And what's happened if we have you have a new legislation, let's say Lisbon Treaty as a basement. So we really have some questions, but we are not against that. It is your system. The only thing we want to say is please respect our system too, and that's it.
Do you feel that Russia doesn't get enough respect in that regard, that the European Union is always preaching to Russia?
Well, yes. You know, as Bible says that not judge and be not judged, you know, and that's, well, again and again. We are, in my country, try to keep our own traditions, our own constitution, our own laws. And we, of course, try to improve our system based on our experience, based on such experience like we have today, of course.
Yes.
But we have to do it ourselves. And we never send any kind of recommendations out of Russia to other countries, how to do this or that things.
Would you like to see closer ties between the European Parliament and the Duma directly?
Yes, and we already have this Parliamentary Cooperation Committee, and I have an honor to be one of co-chairpersons of this committee, and it is a very important institution, honestly, and we do a lot to make it more efficient. And I hope that together with new members of this Parliament, we can do much more than we did before that. And we have the good possibility to have in future, I hope in nearest future, new strategic partnership agreement between our sides of Europe, between my country, the Russian Federation, and the European Union. And to have this new agreement, we have to do a lot also not only between commissioners and, let's say, government of my country, but between members of these parliaments.
Now, if the Duma can work with the European Parliament, they'll be the first group to do that. I'm Andy DeBillis for NETV in Brussels.